Hey guys, it's your host Darren, and welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. Thank you for listening. This week, I brought on Tomoya Nakamura, who is the president of GLOBIS USA. He works for GLOBIS University, which is Japan's #1 MBA program. And what I really loved about our conversation is that this program has a very unique offering and a unique perspective on what business education should be. It was started by a Japanese HBS grad in the early 1990s, Yoshito Hori, and since then has now become Japan's largest MBA program. And they consult with 60 to 70% of the companies in Japan, so it's a well-known brand. What I find really interesting about this program is how they've kept that entrepreneurial character in the program, everything ranging from who they select to teach the courses, to their service guarantee, to the option they give you to try the course first before you fully commit to the full-time program. And I also have to talk about the value of the program as well. It is currently about 4 million Japanese yen, which is about 28,000 US dollars for the 1-year full-time MBA, plus there's scholarship funding available. And as Tomoya mentions, Tokyo, Japan is surprisingly a relatively affordable place to live compared to many of the big cities in the world and in the US. So I think this is a really interesting option for those of you who are willing to think out of the box and are interested in pursuing your full-time MBA in Japan, taking classes that are related to the Japanese business culture and just Japanese culture in general in Japan. And I think you'll really enjoy this kind of wide-ranging conversation I have with Tomoya, who was previously the dean of the full-time English MBA program. He's also a faculty member. He teaches in the program, and he's been with this MBA program from the start. So he's the perfect person to have on the show to really understand the values of this program, what they're looking for, and what makes it special. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Tomoya. Remember that at Touch MBA, you can get free school selection help. That's at touchmba.com. I'll call it the best kept secret. In the MBA admissions world, over 4,000 applicants have come to us to get free school selection help. Some words that they themselves have described this feedback include super valuable, incredibly useful information, a thorough assessment. So if you want to get an expert view of your candidacy, where you could possibly improve, what programs you'd be competitive at, what programs might just fit you best, head over to touchmba.com and get a free profile review over there. All right, now let's get straight to my conversation with Tomoya Nakamura. Here we go. I am really excited to talk to our next guest. It's a pleasure to welcome Tomoya Nakamura, who is the president of GLOBIS USA, to the show. And we're going to be talking about the GLOBIS MBA program based in Tokyo, Japan. Tomoya, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the Touch MBA podcast.
Thank you, Darren, for the invitation. I'm very honored to be here today.
Yes. And Tomoya, I know you have a long history with GLOBIS. And I was wondering, before we get started, if you could just let our listeners know about your responsibilities at GLOBIS and how you ended up working for the business school.
Yeah. Basically, I started my career as a businessman in Marubeni Corporation. This is a trading company. I was lucky to get my MBA at Harvard Business School. And when I came back, Marubeni kind of sent me to Advantage Partners. This is a buyout venture capital firm. And because it was early stage VC in the 1990s, the companies we bought, we had to run them as professionals. So I had a chance to, revive a company. And that led to a career on running companies. I had a chance to run a Jasta company called Sun Life after that. And after having a chance to run the company for 4 years, I came to GLOBIS. And at GLOBIS, I met our founder and president, Hori-san. who is also a graduate of Harvard Business School. And he had a dream of creating a business school like Harvard in Tokyo. He was running GLOBIS Management School for some time. But in the Koizumi administration, there was a chance for a corporation to become a university. And in 2006, we applied in 2005, and we became a university in 2006. So ever since, I have been associated with GLOBIS University, first starting the Japanese MBA program. 2009, we started the English part-time MBA program. 2012, we started the English full-time MBA. 2017, we started the English online MBA. And from 2021, I have been the president of GLOBIS USA. Before coming here, I was the dean of the English MBA program. So I've been associated quite long with the GLOBIS
Yes.
program. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've played an absolutely pivotal role in developing the Japanese and the English programs. And I know you also teach at the school as well, which I want to mention. So we're lucky to have you because you can talk to so many different parts of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump straight into it. And the first question I ask every business school is, what makes the GLOBIS MBA unique from all the other top MBA programs in the world?
Yeah, maybe I should mention maybe 5 things. The first thing is we are kind of full of entrepreneurship. Hori-san is an entrepreneur. He started GLOBIS from scratch. So we are not associated to, let's say, a big university. We are a startup, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And a startup becoming a corporation and becoming a university. So we embody the entrepreneurship spirit. The second thing is when Hori-san created GLOBIS, he wanted practitioners to teach, not academicians. So all our faculty are former CXOs, investment bankers, management consultants. So our, education is fun. We teach nuts and bolts of business, not just theory. So a lot of, our students say, learning was this fun. Learning was this practical. The third element is because we started as a startup, we offered a unique system called service guarantee. What this is that if the students say, I'm unhappy with Nakamura's course, we would unconditionally pay back the tuition.
Wow, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. So we put utmost effort on the quality of our education. And as a consequence, we have built a reputation of high quality. The fourth element is kokorozashi. This is a Japanese word that stands for personal mission. All the students at GLOBIS are required to present their kokorozashi, their personal mission or personal aspiration in front of faculty, in front of classmates. So after GLOBIS, you would have a very meaningful life because you have presented to the faculty and classmates what you want to do with your life. And typically, our students live by their kokorozashi. So this is a very unique element of GLOBIS. The last element is Technovate. GLOBIS is not only a business school, but we are one of the most successful venture capitals in Japan. GLOBIS Capital Partners have invested in unicorns, Smart News, and Mercari. And because of this, we have put an emphasis on technology. We have technology-related courses, which are called, Technovate field. So these are probably the 5 unique points that push GLOBIS to the #1 MBA in Japan.
Perfect. So let's start there. So why does GLOBIS call itself Japan's #1 MBA? How do you define that?
Yeah. First of all, the intake of the GLOBIS MBA, I think in 2023, we had, 1,200 plus students in a year. So basically, we are the biggest business school in Japan. We also do corporate training for executives. We have business with maybe 60%, 70% of the public companies in Japan. So from these 2 elements, I think we can call ourselves the #1 business school in Japan.
Absolutely. And the kokorozashi element of the program. When
Yeah.
you say that the students have to present their personal mission in front of classmates and faculty, does that happen at the end of the program, at the beginning? Because that sounds like almost like a really big ritual of the program. I'm wondering how that works.
Typically, student will present their kokorozashi near the end of their MBA program. So if it's a 1 year full-time MBA, they would present at the latter part of their 1 year. If it's a 2 year part-time and online MBA, they would present maybe in the second year.
Got it.
Mhm.
Wow. And can I ask you a little bit more about the founder of the program? Because I think his personality and his philosophy play a big role in the program. His full name is Yoshito Hori, or you call him Hori-san, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Could you tell us a little bit more about him?
yeah. Where should I start? Well, he's a first entrepreneur, a Japanese entrepreneur who graduated from Harvard Business School. Typically, Japanese people who have entered Harvard would go into established companies or maybe to McKinsey or Boston Consulting. But Hori-san wanted to create something like Harvard in Japan, in Tokyo. He proposed this to Sumitomo Corporation, which was his sponsoring company. Because Sumitomo is a trading company, they said, no, Hori-san, that doesn't fit with our company. So he became an entrepreneur. So in a way, he's a fast risk taker among Japanese Harvard MBAs. And he literally started GLOBIS from just maybe, one apartment. If I remember correctly, 16 friends to invest $500 each. So only with $8,000 of capital. And he taught the first GLOBIS marketing course. He was delivering flyers, sending,
Yes.
at that time it was physical mail, not emails.
Yes.
And that's how we got started. But Horsan was comparing the economy of US with the economy of Japan. And he realized he went to Harvard from 1989 to 1991. At that time, Japanese economy was very strong. But comparing the two, he recognized that US have a lot of infrastructure, meaning business school, venture capital, a lot of movements in human capital. And so the founding vision of GLOBIS was not just a business school, but create a venture capital and also a management institution that can disseminate, management theory. So maybe I haven't spoken about GLOBIS publishing, but we have a publishing arm, and the GLOBIS management series have sold, I think, like 2 million books. And this have kind of shared notions like ROE or cash flow, STP, segmentation, targeting, positioning to Japanese audience. I think it's translated into Korean and Chinese as well. So in East Asia, I think GLOBIS Publishing has had some effect.
Wow. So I'll be sure to link to Globis Publishing as well as your Globis Unlimited site, which I think could give our listeners a taste of the kind of topics you guys are teaching and
Yep.
researching and thinking about.
Mhm.
Thanks for sharing that about Hori-san. Now, in terms of academically,
Yep.
from an outsider's perspective, I was preparing for the show. I found a lot of both the way your curriculum is structured and the titles of the courses unique.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if you could talk to maybe some of the academic elements of the GLOBIS MBA that you think are special, having gone to HBS yourself, as
Mhm.
well as maybe some courses that you can only find at GLOBIS.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, as an MBA, we have all, similar courses like finance, strategy, operations. This, I think, is common all through any MBA. But some of the unique elements of GLOBIS MBA is the Technovate courses and the kokorozashi courses. So we have technology courses based on AI. We have technology courses on robotics, moonshot thinkings, These are taught in collaboration with, sometimes venture capitalists, sometimes data analysis, sometimes consultants. So this area is kind of totally new. And the kokorozashi courses, when we applied to the Ministry of Education about creating the university, the government official asked Hori-san, myself, and some of my colleagues, do you think you can develop a personal aspiration like kokorozashi? And we answered yes. And the reason is, if students are exposed to how business leaders, political leaders, social leaders have developed their personal mission or personal ambition, and if they can follow suit, we believe that students can find their own personal mission and live by it. So we have courses like entrepreneurial leadership, Kei Dojo. We have leadership ethics and values. So these are the courses I think you cannot find outside of GLOBIS.
Yes. I mean, just a side note here. Do you believe that personal mission can change over time? Because I think when people are attending the program, I mean, that's they're in their early or mid-career usually, right? In the
Yep.
full-time program. And I would imagine that might change or maybe not. And I'm just curious how you view that.
Yeah, basically, we believe that kokorozashi grows. So personal mission grows. You achieve your first goal. Because you have achieved your first goal, you have more power or you have more attention, you have more opportunity. So your dream grows. You go to your second goal. Again, sometimes you fail, sometimes you achieve. As a consequence, your personal ambition or personal aspiration can grow with your life. And that's why people like President Nelson Mandela of South Africa, he has created a rainbow country out from apartheid. So these cannot be achieved just in one step. He had his first aspiration, second aspiration, third aspiration, and the rainbow country is his kind of maybe final goal. So we believe anyone can grow into a person like Nelson Mandela or Konosuke Matsushita, and so on.
Mm. Wow. And can I ask, are there any Japanese related courses? I mean, you're taking your MBA in Japan. Do you think there are certain, Japan related courses that maybe you can't find elsewhere?
Yeah, basically, Hori-san has taught the entrepreneurial leadership course. This is the, where the students declare their personal mission. I have, inherited his teaching among some of the senior faculty at GLOBIS. And one of the classes is about Bushido. So the samurai spirit. This is something I don't think other schools would teach. We also have a class on Wang Yanmin. He is a Chinese philosopher who created Yanmin theory or Yanmin philosophy. In Japanese, we say Yomegaku. And when I talk to Chinese professors, they are astonished that we are teaching Neo-Confucianism of Wang Yanmin in Japan. So these I think are very special. And not only Japanese, but there are people who do judo or kendo. For example, I had a New Zealand student who is like a black belt in kendo, and he spoke so much on the Bushido class, more than the Japanese. So it's not only the Japanese who contribute in these classes. I think when we teach Wang Yanmi, there are Chinese people, there are Asian people, Indian people who can speak about this topic, and so on.
Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. And can you also talk a little bit more about the internship part of the 1 year full-time MBA? Because I know that's an essential part of the program.
Yeah. When we thought about creating a full-time MBA, we had discussion whether a 2-year full-time MBA or a 1-year accelerated MBA would be a good fit with us. We thought a 1-year MBA is a good fit with us because European MBAs like INSEAD and IMD were gaining popularity. At the same time, Japan is closely related to the industry. So in that regard, we thought we could create, consulting project with some of our corporate partners. So at Globis, the 1 year accelerated MBA is like 9 months of case study, 2.5 months at the end internship. At Globis, we have about 150 corporate partners who offer internship posting, and all the students have a chance to apply to them. And typically, we have 100% placement rate for internship. And after 2.5 months, when I was a dean, roughly 40%, 50% will get full-time employment from there. Of course, there are cases when students say, Nakamura, I want something more exciting, or I want something different. There are cases when the company says, maybe the fit is not so good. So there are cases where the internship does not lead to a full-time employment, but I would say roughly half of the students would find their full-time job through internship.
And maybe on that note, we can just step back a little bit and just kind of talk about the standing of the MBA in Japan, because we have a lot of US and international listeners who would be very curious. If they go to Japan and get an MBA, well, what does that mean in the corporate world? So maybe you could just give a brief snapshot of how that works.
Yeah. I got my MBA in the United States, a long time ago. So I do understand if you get an MBA in the United States, typically you're on a fast track. In Japan, if you work in a multinational company, it's similar to the United States, but if you are to work in Japanese company or Asian companies, typically MBA would not necessarily mean you get into a fast track. So you have to go through the system together as, other employees. However, looking at our alumni, because they have learned the MBA, they have significant higher output than their colleagues. As a consequence, they get promotions, they get important positions. So if you are thinking of MBA in a Japanese company, it's not like a very fast track like US or UK. However, you'll be recognized, you'll be rewarded in the long term with important positions, higher pay, but the pay scale or the pace is not the same with maybe Western companies. So a lot of things, if you just consider the corporate longevity of Japanese companies, there are many companies more than 100 years old. So maybe our pace of society is a little bit different, especially from Silicon Valley, where I am located now. However, it's a very stable, very peaceful, very harmonized country. So I think it's a life choice. If you like fast pace, yes, New York is fine, London is fine, Singapore is fine. But if you want something a little bit more, close to nature, close with sustainability, I think, what Japan offers is very attractive. And that's why roughly maybe half or more of our students will stay. International students who come to Japan would stay in Japan, in Tokyo.
So I really want to dive deeper into that, because I think that's fascinating to understand and hear you talk about, and we'll save that for the career section.
Yep.
But in terms of the class size of your full-time MBA, can you tell me, how big is a typical class? Do they interact with your part-time and online students, and kind of how does that work?
Yeah. Basically, when we started Globis, we created class size of 35 as standard. And we have 5 more seats for those who would like to switch. Let's say, I have a job on Monday. I cannot attend a Monday critical thinking class, but there is a critical thinking class in Osaka in Wednesday. So let me attend that. So we call this kind of substitution system. So max capacity of one class is 40, whether it's an in-person class or online class. So full-time class, typically we run the class with 35 students per, one class. We have 2 classes right now. So depending on the year.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it will be 35 multiplied by the number of people, students admitted. But the English MBA in Globis is roughly 100 plus. We have a Japanese, MBA that is 1,100 students, and there is interaction among the Japanese part-time online MBA and the English full-time MBA. Especially, we are asking Japanese part-time online students and also Japanese students from the English part-time online students to be mentors of full-time MBA students. So we are seeking every year volunteers of the two part-time and online MBA programs. For example, if an American student come to Japan, he or she would like to have a pharmaceutical job. We assign this student to, let's say, maybe two mentors, and they are maybe a Japanese working in a Japanese pharmaceutical company, maybe an Indian person working in a German pharmaceutical company in Tokyo, and they would advise this new full-time student. This is called a buddy system, and they have lunch together. When they apply for internship through 150 corporate partners, but they might do a mock session for the student. So they are like their career advisor. Not, we do have career advisor from our school, but we put them as buddy with their seniors from the part-time online and MBA program. This helps, international student kind of understand how they can work in Tokyo, how they can work in Japan, at the same time, kind of create contacts with seniors as well as, industry experts. So that's how, we are trying to make, full-time MBA students comfortable in applying to jobs in Tokyo and in other parts of Japan.
And I mean, I know that your online program, well, you guys have campuses all around the world. You're not just in Tokyo. Could you talk a little bit about that as well and how that integrates with your program?
Yes, we have 7 campuses in Japan:
Oh,
Tokyo,
wow. Okay. I
Osaka,
didn't know. Yeah.
Nagoya, Sendai, Fukuoka, Mito, and Yokohama. These are the 7. We have online as well, and we have overseas campuses in Bangkok, in Singapore, in Manila, in Brussels, and in San Francisco, where I'm located. English education is provided only from Tokyo and maybe San Francisco at the moment. Of course, domestically, we do have some programs in Thailand and in Philippines, Singapore, but they are mostly for the domestic market. So for online, education as a whole, global, we're trying to provide it from Tokyo and also from San Francisco.
Got it. Got it. And do you have any other advice for applicants considering getting an MBA in Tokyo, Japan? Because that's location of your MBA program is so huge.
Yeah. When I started my career, Tokyo was very expensive. So everywhere I go, whether it's New York or London, I find, very affordable. But today, Japan did not have high inflation for the last 20 years. So as a consequence, the living cost of Tokyo is very affordable. I'm quite shocked to live in San Francisco right now, to pay higher rent, higher living expense than Tokyo. So first thing I like to say is Tokyo is very affordable, especially for the people who live in America, live in, Europe. I think I dream myself, if I pay $10, I can have a great lunch. If I pay $15, I can have a top rank sushi. And in San Francisco, I need to pay $100, maybe more, to match that. So basically, Japan is a huge place. The food is great. We have lots of culture, lots of festivals, anime, manga, maid cafe. These are all in Tokyo. So whether you like the older part or whether you like the soft element of Tokyo, I think you will enjoy it. And Tokyo has a population of, I think, 35 million or so. So it's the largest metropolis in the world, bigger than New York, bigger than London, bigger than Shanghai. So coming to Tokyo, living here for a year, I think would be a wonderful experience. Very safe. You can walk at 12 o'clock, nothing happens.
It's actually one of my life dreams to live at least 1 year in Tokyo. So this has been on my list. I'm just waiting for the right time. Maybe it's through Globis, but
Yes,
I
yes.
do want. I find it such a fascinating culture, and that I really have trouble understanding, to be honest, which makes me want to go there even more. So, do the students actually live on campus, or how does that work?
Yeah. Because we are located in the heart of Tokyo, we are very close to the Emperor's Palace. We don't have dorms, but we do have real estate agents who have worked closely with us. At the same time, every year, there are some full-time students who move out from their kind of apartment. So we connect the incoming batch with the graduating batch. And from there are some apartments that go from the senior batch to the junior batch. So finding a place in Tokyo is not that difficult. Our staff is very, how to say, dedicated towards students' needs. So in the beginning, they will help you open bank accounts. They will help you get a cellular phone. We even help sometimes if they have language issues in Japanese hospitals. So even if you don't speak Japanese, there's no worries. All my staff are English conversant. Half of my staff is, in fact, international. So American staff, Chinese staff, English staff, Australian staff, Indian staff. So no matter where you come from, I think we can accommodate your needs.
One last question about the program is, how important are Japanese language skills to succeed in the program and then after?
Basically, there's no need for Japanese in the MBA programs. If you choose the English MBA, everything is done in English. All our faculty staff will speak English. So basically no need of Japanese. However, when we, typically full-time students would apply to maybe 2-3 internship opportunities. Sometimes the interviewer from the company is international. She could be American, Canadian, German, but there are cases when she is Japanese. So when you have a Japanese interviewer, it's good to say, konnichiwa, ohayou gozaimasu, some, basic words, hello, how do you
Yes.
do?
Yes, of course.
Or when you are on a taxi, unfortunately, Uber is not in Tokyo yet. It's good to say, konnichiwa, please take me to Shinjuku or whatsoever. So if you can speak a basic Japanese, I think you'll get along much better in terms of life as well as, career opportunities.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on now to admissions and scholarships. So first question, you've told us a lot about all the unique aspects of your program. What sort of fit qualities are you looking for from those applying?
Yeah, thank you. Basically, we are looking for people who can create something new, like entrepreneurs, and who are willing to make a change to the company, to the society, to the industry. So we are looking for entrepreneurs and change agents. So we're not looking for someone who just wants to be a director, who just wants a promotion in the company, but we are looking for someone who can make an impact. So we have many programs that support entrepreneurs. We have like a business plan contest. The winner of this contest gets 10 million yen as seed money to start his or her venture. Typically, the winner every year will start his or her business. So for entrepreneur, I think we are a very good environment. For the change agents, because we have been helping Japanese company go global, Japanese companies start new businesses. Many of our faculty, including myself, we have big clients where we help every year. And because of this experience, I think what we bring in is real material, ongoing in the business world. And that can help, future change agents who wants to do corporate restructuring, new business development, and so on.
And I noticed you also have, or require, I should say, 4 short essays.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, as someone who has for many years, I'm sure read many essays,
Yep.
and I want to talk about the interview as well, but let's talk about the essays first.
Yep.
What really helps you as someone in admissions or a faculty member to understand who the applicant is, and how would you suggest that applicants go about these essays? What can really help them express themselves and the value they could add to your program as well?
Thank you. Similar to other schools, we are looking at what the applicant has done in his or her past. So we're looking at achievement. We're also looking at what he or she has learned from failures. And we are also asking about his or her kokorozashi, personal aspiration in life. So if he or she can explain to us a life story, how GLOBIS MBA can help him or her reach her kokorozashi, I think our admission team will be moved by these kind of applications.
I mean, because I found it very interesting when you talked about fit qualities. You said you were looking for applicants who want to create something new, who want to be change agents. And the way you described it was to companies, to society. And so would you advise, for example, if someone was trying to answer that long-term goal or vision essay, that they talk about these changes they want to make, not only internally, but externally? And I guess you know how much things can change in an MBA program, right? How someone's trajectory could change. So how kind of rigid are you guys with that initial vision in the application?
We understand that, the more you learn, the bigger the dream becomes. So, for example, I had a lady who was a secretary. She didn't have a bachelor degree, but many of her colleagues kind of surpassed her in the task or position. And because of that, she came to GLOBIS. And through the education, she found her kokorozashi, helping working moms in Japan, because typically Japanese family is a father, mother, they are both working and the kids are at home. And it's very difficult right now to raise children if they are both working. But this, female student joined Taskaji. This is kind of like helping hands for mothers, meaning senior mothers will come to homes where mothers' work is needed. Maybe they can do cleaning, maybe they can cook supper for the mothers. And she did a study on this industry, and she actually became an entrepreneur. So within the 2 years, someone who said, I want to be more important person in a multinational company. She found her dream. She found a social need. And actually, she became a partner of this Haskaji. She was even on TV, and she wrote a book. So I think within maybe 4 or 5 years, her life has completely changed. She is now a very famous MBA graduate of Japan. I think she has her own YouTube.
Yeah, we should link to it. So maybe you could share me her YouTube after.
Yeah.
I mean, on that note, given that applicant didn't have a bachelor's degree and that your founder, I know, has a very entrepreneurial bent, can you talk to us more about what are the sort of degree requirements of your full-time MBA, as well as, do you want to, what sort of GMAT or GRE scores do you want to see, and how important are those?
Thank you. Basically, we are looking for an applicant with more than a 2-year work experience. Because our English program is provided in English, we are looking for English proficiency. And typically, we're asking for a bachelor degree. However, because when we founded GLOBIS University, Hori-san and I had a discussion on providing opportunities for entrepreneurs. Maybe he or she only went to high school, maybe associate
Yeah.
college, maybe vocational school. So we have preliminary screening where those who do not meet these criteria can still apply. And the lady I mentioned, if my memory is correct, I think she had an associate degree, not a bachelor degree. We have entrepreneurs with vocational schools background. They have all come to Globis, graduated successfully. So even if you don't have that requirement, please, feel free to talk to us. I think we can support you. We do not require a GMAT. This is because in Japan, many MBA programs do not require a GMAT. And because we are in Japan, we are competing in the domestic market as well. We have put the criteria similar to some of our competitors.
But I did see a note that for those applicants who might want to consider scholarships, that you guys would like to see a GMAT or GRE score. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, if they have a GMAT, GRE, and if they are comfortable sharing with us, obviously we would like to see it. But the scholarship decision is not solely decided on GMAT score. We take a holistic view of the applicant. So even if you go through preliminary screening, there's a chance of getting scholarship. So we are looking each applicant holistically, not just grades or not just their backgrounds.
got it. So I'm going to jump back to scholarships, but I have to ask you about the interview.
Yep.
So it sounds like after a first round of screening, applicants will then be invited to an interview.
Yep.
Select applicants, I should say.
Yep.
What should applicants expect? Who are they interviewing with?
Yeah. In the past, we did the interviews, faculty and staff. Today, alumni will do the interview for us.
Okay. Yep.
So basically, they understand the program, they have gone through it, and they are looking if the applicant is someone that he or she would like to have in his or her class. That's probably the first criteria. The other thing, we are looking at the applicant's potential, how GLOBIS MBA can help them. So from these elements, alumni, looking at the applicants. Of course, we give training to all, alumni. So we are also, deeply involved with it. But applicants should be, themselves. We are asking about applicants' personal aspiration. So if he or she wants to do something for his or her country, let's say we have an applicant from Vietnam, he or she would like to, strengthen the ties between Vietnam and Japan, let's say in maybe software industry, he or she should, talk about his or her passion. Why software? Why with Japan? How GLOBIS MBA can help his or her dream. So be yourself, be confident, and speak wholeheartedly. We are not just looking at your smartness. We are looking at your commitment, your dedication, your will, power. So I think everyone has a chance.
Can I ask how much information your alumni interviewers have? Do they get, for example, the applicant's resume or their entire application before the interview?
I was the dean 3 years ago, so I don't know today, but basically we ask our alumni to come in a little early, read the application, and then go to the interview. So they should have full access to what applicant have written in their applications.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. Thanks for providing those details. And I always advise, applicants when if they're interviewing with faculty or if they're interviewing with alumni or if
Mhm.
they're interviewing with current students,
Mhm.
just try to kind of sit in their shoes. Tomoya, you gave us an overview of what you as a business school are looking for, but
Mhm.
imagine yourself as an alumni
Nope.
interviewer. You want someone awesome to join your network. You're
Mhm.
looking for someone who would be a great part of Globis, right? So keep that in mind, guys, before you interview. And I love what you said about speaking wholeheartedly. No one's ever said that on the show. And I think that really, in two words, captures a lot. So let's talk about scholarships
Mhm.
now. So I saw there's three types of scholarships you guys offer. Can you
Yep.
just tell us about your sort of general philosophy, why the Globus Full-Time MBA would award scholarships, and then talk to us, give us a little more details about how applicants can give themselves a good chance to win some of those.
Basically, we are entrepreneurial school. We understand if a newcomer to the market, initially we need to give applicants kind of a big lift to come to Globis. So Hori-san, being an entrepreneur, said, let's give out, a generous scholarship to fast movers of Globis. That's how the Globis scholarship started. We still have like 50% scholarship to the full-time MBA program. So basically, our full-time MBA program is 4 million yen. This is roughly 28,000 US dollars if I use exchange rate of today. Because we are in competition with national universities in Japan, our tuition is very affordable, but still you get a 50% scholarship if you are admitted by the admission committee. We also provide 50% loan. We have a credit company that we are associated with, and they have said if the applicant is admitted to Globis and if he or she has a past record, the financial company can provide 50% loan. So basically, you can come to Globis if you are awarded scholarship and a 50% loan with only a living expense. And as I said, 1 year living expense in Tokyo could be roughly like 1.5 million yen, which is only like 10,000 US dollars. So the best case is if you have more than 10 million yen in your bank account, sorry, 10,000 US dollars, the best case is you can come to Tokyo and get our MBA. So those are some of, our thinking that went through.
Absolutely. And then in terms of winning those scholarships, like
Mhm.
what in the past, what has worked? Like what types of students are you awarding those scholarships to?
We are giving out scholarship to those who we believe can make a contribution to our education. So, for example, if we are looking for, let's say, an applicant from Australia or New Zealand, maybe she can get 50% scholarship, 50% loan. If we are looking for someone in the, let's say, hospital or healthcare
I
industry
see.
in
Okay.
Africa, she might have a chance. So we are looking at what kind of person can contribute to the learning environment of the Globis full-time MBA. At the same time, of course, though those who get very high votes are also, considered from their academic background, achievement, career aspiration. So it's not just one type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm hearing from you is, of course, if you're academically strong, if you have achieved in your corporate career and you
Mhm.
have these sort of entrepreneurial ambitions, that's great. But don't write yourself off from applying because who knows, maybe your program
Yeah.
is looking for someone from the education sector, someone from the government
Yeah.
sector, someone from this part of the world or that part of the world, right?
I- i-
Fantastic.
If Darren, if I may say
Yes.
something we didn't expect, this is not necessarily a full-time MBA, but Globis as a whole. When Horizon, myself, and the team, we created Globis, we thought people who would come to Globis are businessman, businesswoman. What was different was there was lots of governmental officials, there was lots of doctors, a lot of
Doctors.
nurses, yeah. a lot of, how to say, like lawyers, a lot of accountants. So we asked them, why do you come to Globis? You should go to, a law school, or you should go to a medical school. And they say a lot of, the hospital problem right now is business. So even doctor, nurses, they want to learn business. So that's something, we didn't expect, but that's reality. So if you come to Globis, for example, the class I'm teaching right now, I have 35 students. I have maybe 5 doctors out of 35 students. So, I can ask an individual question to doctors.
I mean, on that note, you beat me to my next question, which is, as someone who's teaching, if you put on your faculty hat, who do you really enjoy teaching, or who would you say can really contribute to the learning experience aside from their background, right? What type of figure in the class?
I did my MBA at Harvard, and one of my best faculty was Professor Alban. What was great about him was that he gave a case to each student, whose case was very similar to the actual protagonist of the case. So what I'm trying to do is, when I look at the student list, I have 35. Among the 35 students, I am thinking who would benefit from today's case. And I am thinking of calling him or her at the best timing so that he or she would pick up the biggest learning and close with their comments if I can. So basically, I'm always thinking, if today, let's say, I teach a Bushido class, and this is a question I asked to the doctors. How do you see death? Because Bushido is essentially putting your life at risk. So basically, looking at my class profile, this is a Japanese MBA class that I'm teaching this term. I'm also teaching an English MBA class, but this class I don't have 5 doctors, so I'll talk about the Japanese MBA class. But how do you see death? And the 5 doctors gave very unique view of how they see death. So if I may give an example of a Mandela class, African students are extremely vocal when we have a Mandela class. And some students, African students, would share me what is the rhythm of life, meaning, they start clapping the desk, and we try to experience the drumming together as a whole class. So these are some of the experience that I think you get at GLOBIS. Of course, my teaching might not be the same with other faculty, but it's very touching, moving, meaning the GLOBIS bond is very strong, even after graduation. So whether you go to English MBA or the Japanese MBA, I think you will have friends that you will call or family for a lifetime. And that's something I think very unique, because you are in a country where it's safe and there are many things that you can do. You can go to onsen together. Onsen is a hot spring. You can go to, a dinner show or a musical, but at the same time, you can watch a rugby game or a football game. These are all possible within maybe 20-minute train ride. So this is the kind of life I think you will have if you come to GLOBIS.
Yeah, and I think one thing I can speak to personally, having helped start, I guess you would call an upstart business school in Singapore, called SMU, is that even though, and GLOBIS kind of sounds like this, even though you guys have grown tremendously and have great standing, but something great about being part of a young program, which is what your full-time MBA is, at least on the English side, is you feel a really special sense of being part of these pioneering classes, because essentially the first few classes, you guys are setting the reputation for the rest. So there's almost a feeling of responsibility too, to hold the flag, if you will, for your program. And I'm sure that has continued within your first, 10 years now? So no, 12 years of full-time MBA programs. Let's kind of turn our attention now to careers.
Yep.
So we talked about admissions, the
Mhm.
program. So in terms of careers, I guess my first question is more general one, which is Japan has a lot of renowned, well-known universities, but what is the reputation of Globis in the corporate world, right? Compared, because I'm sure when your graduates go out into the job market, they're also competing against other great graduates from other universities.
Yeah. I think Globus image from the corporate world, it's very innovative. We are very strong in technology. And at the same time, Globus students work hard. They have an entrepreneurial spirit. So we do have visits from CEOs from time to time. And one CEO told me when he walked through the Globus, study rooms, I found an employee of my company, and he looks so different from, his work style in the headquarters of the CEO's company. So he was telling me on his way back after the seminar, Nakamura, what are you doing differently? Because I haven't seen him that lively at my company. And basically I've explained about our philosophy of running the classes or so I think a lot of our students say they get energized after coming to Globis. So typically our English part-time MBA or Japanese part-time MBA class starts at 7 p.m. at night after work. It runs 3 hours to 10. But I'm talking before COVID, typically we go out for dinner and we take the last train, like 12:30. So, I mean, people are just energized after speaking about what they want to do, what they think is right. If I was a general manager, I would do this. And this discussion does not end in the classroom. So typically, as faculty, we have 6 classes over the course of 3 months. We will go to drinking parties 6 times. So
Yeah.
my wife is angry. Why are you so late? But I think it's the case
Yeah.
for every
Yeah.
other student. Their partners are angry.
Yeah. It's a separate family.
Mhm.
And could you talk a little bit more about those 150 employers? How are they related to Globis School?
Basically, we have asked many of our corporate clients if they are interested in global leadership development. And the 150 companies are those who said, Hori-san, Nakamura, we are interested. So basically, every year we talk about the kind of students we have in the full-time MBA program. On the other hand, they would share with us their projects for the last 2.5 months, typically June, July, August, that they can provide to our students. And we put a list together and interview date, and all the full-time MBA applicants, they will have their first choice, second choice, third choice, and we will have, interview sessions. So basically, these are the companies who are going global right now. If I may give out 3 names, Yokogawa Electric, they have hired more than 10 of our alumni. They are all working in very important positions. Asahi Life Insurance, this is a company that went global together with our alumni. Their initial focus was Vietnam. Right now, they're in Southeast Asia and India, and Globis alumni from these regions are leading the path into these markets. Some other companies, Mitsubishi Fuso, this has been, I think we also have more than 10 alumni working there. They are a joint venture between Daimler and Mitsubishi. So very global company, and they value English, international communication, as well as MBA skills. So a lot of students have excelled there. These are the companies who are looking for global talent, and they have found Globis as a very good source. At the same time, our alumni have enjoyed working in these companies, building careers within these companies. So it's kind of like a win-win, relationship. And I was telling my staff who work in the career office, we are changing Japan, meaning because our full-time students are going into new markets, for example, like Asahi Life Insurance, this company has become a global life insurance company. Before working with us, they were a very good Japanese life insurance company, but basically a domestic company. So I think what we are doing is benefiting Vietnam, Thailand, India, these countries, as well as corporate Japan. And as a consequence, this is changing the Japanese society. So it's kind of like a win-win-win to many constituency, including alumni and students.
No, absolutely. And so are you seeing, especially for your non-Japanese full-timers, it sounds like a great place for them would be working in business development, for example, or developing business in their home countries or regions.
Mhm.
Do you see your international students going towards certain industries or certain functions or thriving in certain industries or functions?
No, because our corporate partners are from various industries and their, how to say, internship positions, some are marketing, some are in operation, some are in accounting. I don't see a trend.
Okay.
However, there are some people who work in like global HR, meaning they were the first, let's say, American people hired in this company or first German company hired, German alumni hired in this kind of company. So they are leading the globalization or helping spread the corporate philosophy of the company into, let's say, Germany or Canada or let's say Russia. So they have acted as pioneers in a way for, very established Japanese companies.
Just generally, it's really interesting. Do you feel like there is an impetus for, as you call it, corporate Japan to internationalize at this stage, at this time in 2024? I'm just curious what you see as kind of maybe two or three bigger trends, because I think this will help a lot of our listeners understand the context in which they'll be attending your business school.
Yeah, I think you see Sony products all over the world, Toyota products all over the world. They went global in their 70s and 80s. The companies that are going global today are food companies, some of financial companies, some of entertainment industry, anime, game, tourist. So I think these companies are very interested in welcoming international employees in Tokyo. So if there's a culture fit or appetite fit with these industry, I think you are in good position. But even like big companies, they, for example, Rakuten, they have changed their official language into English. And all of a sudden, there's an area called Futako Tamaga where their headquarters is located. I see so many international people in that station. It used to be all Japanese. So we are seeing these kind of changes happening right now. So I think, and many people who came to Japan, they stay long. You know, I was speaking to one person who came to Japan 20 years ago, and he's still in Tokyo. Now we had a Zoom meeting. So of course, I'm not saying it's for everyone, but the vast majority of people who came to Japan, they love it and they decide to stay. So please try to visit at least once. We are happy to provide, a school visit, class visit. And if you think there's something for you to do, please apply. Let's see how scholarship or loans, how they go.
Absolutely. So I'll link to Globis as his page in the show notes of this episode. I mean, I guess just a few quick career questions. One is if you would have any tips to people who want to get their MBA in Japan, which is not their home country, and then work at least for a few years in Japan, like culturally, are there things they should know or ways to approach that job market? Because I think that would be interesting to hear about ahead of time. That's my first one. And then I have one more.
Yeah. Okay. Should I answer one by one?
Yes.
Okay. I'm actually teaching a course, Japanese management, and the vast majority of students are full-time MBA students who are going into an internship from this maybe June. And basically, what I'm teaching is how Japanese companies are run. I think the biggest difference between like a Western company and a Japanese company is Japanese companies still have maybe like a family orientation, meaning you are joining a community. You're not just joining a profession. And what that means is sometimes we have lunch together, sometimes we go to a baseball game together. So it's like if you have joined a big family, there are things that you do together. If you like them, I think there's a fit with Japanese companies. But if you define your job as 9 to 5, this is my task. I would rather have lunch alone. Maybe you might fit a Western company better. That's one thing I'm teaching in this class. Another thing I'm teaching is a lot of craftsmanship takes long time. Meaning, there are two types of knowledge: explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge. And if you want to be a craftsman, like Japanese precision in, let's say, car manufacturing or electronics, or even manufacturing like tables or chairs, it takes time. So if you want everything in logic and numbers, I don't think Japanese companies is good. But if you want to gradually learn and go deep, I think try to understand the implicit part. I think we have a lot to offer because, there's a lot of culture, history. At the same time, a lot of things are done at extremely high level. Even a Japanese inn that only costs $100 can provide a Ritz-Carlton service. That's my impression, right now living in the United States. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, so people who can be open to something a little bit deeper, something a little bit more broader, I think would enjoy Japan. But in order to enjoy, you need to be a part of family. If there's a festival, you need to take part. You can't just be a tourist. You're asked to carry, we call it mikoshi, which is like a big place where we call kamisama is there. So those kind of activity is kind of like being a part of a family. So are you willing to be a part of family, or if you want to be an individual, maybe Japan may not be the right place for you. So I don't see full-time students in like homesick. The reason is if you come to Japan, you join the big family. Of course, your class is there. You have buddies from the Japanese program who are saying, Daniel, are you doing okay? Susan, let's have lunch. How did your first interview go? So they are like big brothers and big sisters for you. And this is the kind of society we have. Yeah. So I think it's a life choice.
No, it's wow. Thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting and a lot of tips there for anyone who wants to work in Japan. So my last question on the careers is just how the Japanese visa works, like if for the international students.
Basically, we provide a student visa to everyone who is admitted to GLOBIS University. And it's a 1-year visa. But if you need more time to look for jobs, typically it's easy to get a 6-month extension. So right now we are only allowed to provide a student visa to the full-time MBA students. Part-time MBA students, because they can study from their home country, we cannot provide a student visa. So, but compared to many countries in the West, I think it's much easier to get a student visa in Japan. And a student visa will allow you to work 28 hours a week, which is what we do during the last 2.5 months of internship. So with the student visa, you are allowed to work 28 hours per week. Of course, the company and need to keep record. of your working hours. But that's how the visa system works.
And then if students are able to land a job with, say, that company they got their internship in, that company would sponsor
Yes.
their work visa. And that's typically like a 1-year thing, or how?
I think it will depend on the company, but because Japan in general is in need for population, we are a country that is aging. We are a country that the population is decreasing. If you have an MBA and if you have a permanent job, typically it's not difficult to extend your work visa. A lot of my international employees at GLOBIS have got like permanent residence status right now. So if you work for certain years, if you have an MBA, most likely you can get permanent residence after
Wow.
a couple of years.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. I've learned so much from this talk, not just about GLOBIS, but about Japan as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tomoya, for coming on the show. I just want to ask one final question. Is there anything else you just wish more applicants knew about the GLOBIS MBA? Yeah.
Yeah, Darren, if I may, I like to two things. Our founder is very creative. So when we started GLOBIS, before GLOBIS University, GLOBIS Management School, he said, let a student take one course at a time. An MBA is sometimes a big investment for a student. So what basically he has done is you are allowed to take one courses, and if you like it, you can bring that credit to GLOBIS University. So in Tokyo and in San Francisco, we offer pre-MBA. It's a 3-month course of 6 classes. If you finish that, and if you like our education, you can bring that credit and the paid tuition to GLOBIS. So you can try before you buy. And I recommend, those who are thinking of applying, let's try one course because it might fit you, it might not. That's one thing. The second thing I like to say is we also accept the GI Bill from US veterans, US military persons. There are already, students using the GI Bill for their GLOBIS tuition and living expense. So if you are from the military and if you're thinking Tokyo, please consider GLOBIS. You can use your GI Bill.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask about that, the pre-MBA classes? What classes are in that pre-MBA curriculum?
Basically, first-year courses. So, essentials of marketing and strategy, organizational behavior and leadership, accounting, finance. So, many of the core subjects. Some of the unique courses that we discussed, Technovate, Kokorozashi, these are something for the entire MBA. But critical thinking, business presentation, all the kind of entry kind of courses is open for everyone to try out.
Yes. And those can be taken either in San Francisco, Tokyo, or online?
Yes. Basically, Tokyo has on-campus and online. San Francisco, we're doing online. But we're providing courses in the American time zone. So
yes.
Got it. In the past, GLOBIS MBAs were waking up at 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. to take courses in Tokyo time. But because we have presence now in San Francisco, American students are taking courses like 8 p.m. New York time or 5 p.m. San Francisco time.
Got it. Very clear. Thank you so much, Tomoya, for sharing your journey and all your insights about the program with us. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Darren. Enjoyed your questions, and I hope your listeners will be interested in coming to Japan.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Remember, you can get free school selection help and a profile review at touchmba.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Just search for Touch MBA.